loves, my name is Jacinta and I make mummy lifestyle videos here on YouTube. Tips, tricks, hacks, recipes, whatever's going to make our lives easier, I'm going to bring it to you. Please don't forget to subscribe down below, like any videos and put a comment of what you'd like to see or what you've liked so far, and let's get to it. Today I'm going to be bringing you all the tips that I have for flying with the toddler, which can be quite intimidating, so I hope these help. About a month ago, we took our son Zion on his first flight. It was only a short one from Brisbane to Sydney, which was domestic here in Australia, and it was one of the most exciting journeys for us as a family, but also very intimidating for me as a mum. So I did lots and lots of research beforehand. I watched countless videos, lots of Pinterest pinning to try and find some tips that would help me on his first flight. My first tip is make sure you bring some sort of identification for your toddler. We were flying domestically, so all we needed to bring was something that showed his name, and we were able to bring our Medicare card, which is like a healthcare card. If we were flying internationally, we would need a passport for him, or some airlines may actually require a birth certificate. So please check with your airline before you get to the airport to make sure your toddler can actually get on that flight with you and cause you way less stress at the check-in counter. We didn't book flights as we were traveling with family, so we weren't able to take advantage of the nap time or feeding time to help us during the flight. So my tip number 2 is to distract. Really important when you have a toddler. What we ended up doing was creating a busy bag. We had coloring books and pencils. We had reading books. One of them was brand new, he'd never seen before, so it kept it fresh and new. We had snacks and more snacks. Some of his favorites at the moment. So he loves these coconut rolls, these pea chips and sultanas. Along with those, we also had some fruit and yogurt. I brought a sandwich on the day also. I packed the iPad and headphones, some toys, some craft equipment, and things to kind of keep his hands busy as well. It was so great to have lots of different things to distract him because, like most toddlers, my son gets distracted really quickly but then gets bored so fast. So it was great to have something to slip in there to distract him, new, especially when you're in a confined space. Just to have all the options available is awesome. Something really important that you probably heard before is to give your child something to suck on during takeoff and landing. Even as adults, our ears need time to acclimatize to the increasing altitude, and you could only imagine how much more difficult it is for a little child that doesn't know what is happening. With Zion, we ended up using the lollipop and a drink bottle with a straw during takeoff and landing to keep him sucking, especially because it wasn't nap time or it wasn't feeding time. He couldn't use a dummy or a bottle, so we chose the lollipop and a bottle of water. As you saw in the busy bag, these are the little headphones that we bought Zion for the trip. Aren't they so adorable? So these were the little penguin ones, and he was so sweet. He loves ducks, so he kept calling it a duck. I wasn't going to correct him. Penguin's just a little hard to say right now. A few things I loved about these headphones was, one, that the fabric is really soft, which means it's not going to scratch their heads when they're wearing them. Another thing is that it's just Velcro, and it goes quite large. This nearly fits my head, which means it's a decent size for especially any toddler or small child. The headphone itself is just these little discs here, and the sound only comes out of one side, so it's not going to be loud or distracting to anybody around, and it does not go very loud either, which is a key thing for anything with little ears. All you have to do is put the little disc headphone into the headband itself. You push it down to where you want. If they've got a smaller head, closer to the penguin, bigger head, further away, and you kind of just press it in there. And that secures it for enough for them to be able to watch it. There's no sticky or anything, just the different fabrics stick together and hold it there. The only thing I didn't love about it is that it has a cable. Now, this didn't prove to be much of an issue on the flight at all. Zion was on our lap for most of the time, so he just sat there and watched his movies, and we were able to monitor that cord ourselves. If he was watching it without us around, I'd have to pay a little more attention, but those headphones were really great. I'll pop the link below. Something that I really needed while we were traveling was a stroller. Our pram is wonderful, but it is just too heavy to carry on an airplane or even to put in a taxi or an Uber when we got to our destination. So I needed something that was really compact, but it had all the key features of a pram that I loved. I found this stroller on eBay. It was only $90, which is really cheap. It's not as cheap as an umbrella stroller from a cheap store, but it was right in between that very cheap breakable type stroller to a great pram that you would buy for everyday use. A few key features that I loved about this pram was that it was really durable, so it felt quite sturdy. It also had a really large hood, so it would cover him from any sun. If he was sleeping, the back of the pram went all the way down so he could lay flat and have a really good nap. Also went up really easily. The basket at the bottom held our baby bag the entire time, which was so great. It was big enough for lots of things. But the best part is that it folds extremely small. This pram fit in the cabin luggage of our flight. We were able to use the pram all the way to the gate, just fold it really quickly as soon as we got to the plane, pop it in the cabin luggage and take it straight back out, straight onto the gate again. If we didn't have Zion in it, we had bags in it or something else. So it was such a great investment and I highly recommend something like this. I'll pop it in the link below. Something that I've heard such great things about and I was really eager to try, just needed a trip away to give me an excuse to buy them, and that is packing cubes. And I love them so much that I bought one for myself, for my husband, and my son. They come in a variety of different colors and a pack of 5 of all different sizes. I loved the packing cubes because it kept everything compartmentalized and it also kept things neat and tidy because you just grabbed one from the suitcase, took what you needed and then closed it back up, and it kind of forced you to put it back, which meant the whole week our suitcases were clean. And to be honest, that's never happened before. So they were so great. I highly recommend investing in something like this. These were very cheap. I'll put the link below. I just got them from eBay. They're not the greatest quality, so I'll probably invest in something of a better brand later on. But do yourself a favor if you're traveling and invest in packing cubes. My next tip comes from a bit of a parent rookie mistake that we made, and I'm sharing our experience to you, and that is to make sure you always have your medications or first aid kit with you. And I mean 24/7, constantly. We put all of Zion's medications or even his nose sucker, everything into just a little toiletry bag, and we keep it in his baby bag at all times. On the way to Sydney, we had it in the baby bag. We didn't need it, which was great, but at least it was there just in case. But in Sydney, probably about 2 days into the trip, Zion started teething so terribly that we needed everything that was in that bag to use. And by unfortunate events, we put the Panadol into our own toiletry bag, into our suitcase, into the plane, not onto the plane with us. So when we got through customs, we arrived in the airport, I had a screaming baby, and I mean screaming the house down. I was constantly moving with him, trying to distract him with the airplanes. Nothing was helping. We ended up finding some Panadol in a chemist in the airport. It was probably double the price, but you've got to do what you've got to do when you've got to do it. But if we had our medications kit with us, we would be able to sort it out straight away and have a much happier baby and a much happier mum, because let me tell you, that was one of the most intimidating moments of my life so far with my baby. A lot of eyes watching, and my anxiety kind of went through the roof. But we made it, so it's fine. My next tip is that if you're flying on a long flight, try and book it around your child's nap time or sleep time. We only flew an hour, so this didn't affect us that much. It was actually probably easier to just keep him distracted, so he didn't fall asleep and then we had to wake him or move him or anything, and it would have been very disturbed. But if you're flying for a longer flight, book it whether it be 7, 8 p.m. so they have that really good solid first part of their sleep, or it's in the middle of the day so they have a nap there too. Something that's just going to help you make it a lot easier. I suggest to pack as lightly for the plane as possible. Now, when we were traveling, we ended up only taking our very light stroller, the baby bag, and my husband had a backpack. That meant at all times somebody had 2 hands free at least to get Zion or to pick up something whenever we needed. Even going up and down escalators, it just meant we were able to move and we were a little more free to do more with our hands. So pack as light as you need. If you don't need it for that flight or the hour before or the hour after, then you really don't need it at all. But on that, my next tip is to make sure you pack extra for your children in clothing especially. You never know what's gonna happen. Zion was teething really bad, so he was having blowouts like a newborn again, and I needed to always have backup clothes, especially pants or singlets, just to be able to make that quick change for everyone to stay comfortable. If you can pack a shirt for yourself as just a backup, that's a great tip as well, just in case anything happens to you and you don't really want to be walking around with puke or a coffee spilt on your shirt, so bring a spare pair for everyone. If your airline offers it, make sure you take advantage of priority seating for families or people that need special attention. On the way to the airport, I actually thought I didn't want to do this at all, because why would I want to sit on the plane longer than I have to with my toddler? But we did take advantage of it, and it ended up being a really great move for us as a family. It meant that we weren't rushed getting on the plane. We didn't have anybody pressuring us, putting our things in the overhead compartment and trying to juggle our carry-ons as well as Zion. It also meant that somebody could sit down with Zion, distract him through the window with all the airplanes, and the other parent was able just to do anything that they had to do. As well, it meant we had first choice on putting our overhead compartment luggage, so we had plenty of space for everything that we needed. If you're traveling like us on a shorter flight, especially if you're traveling alone, I suggest an aisle seat. This just means you have a little bit of extra wiggle room for your toddler when the seatbelt sign is off, to be able to move around the cabin or just to be able to go on the floor a little more. We were traveling with family, so it just meant Zion was easily able to go from aisle seat to aisle seat and play in between 2 people when he got a little bit restless. My last tip is just be kind to yourself, mama. Most of us have been there, and if we haven't, we will be there eventually. And traveling with a toddler can be one of the most daunting experiences that you're going to face. So please don't be so hard on yourself. Whatever you're doing a great job. Look, on the way there, my son was an absolute dream. He played, he ate, he did all the things that I wanted him to. On the way back, it was total opposite. I spent most of the flight just holding him and cuddling him and making sure that he was okay with all the attention that he needed. So be kind to yourself, take in every moment. They're not going to be this small forever, so enjoy the little things. Thank you so much for listening to my video. I hope that you've learned a tip or 2 for traveling with a toddler, and I'd love to hear if you try them and how they go. Don't forget to like this video, put a comment, and subscribe down below so you don't miss out on my weekly mummy videos. Thank you again for listening. Until next time, bye loves.